Hello guys, welcome to the stream. Hello investor boy, hello staking investments. So before we start, I will do some quick shout outs. So it is Signum Billboard. Here you can see what people advertise, or you can promote your stuff. It is nearly free. I like this Signum related application. Next one is Signum Art. Probably you know what it is. It is NFT portal where you can grade, buy, collect, and see art. Next one is Signum Swap. It is all related to Signum tokens. Here you can trade them or even stake or buy aliases and other related stuff. Okay, I give it some time for people to join and welcome, Haga.
It's me again. Hi.
How are you?
Well, I'm great. I'm fine. Yeah, it's just still processing all the insights I had this week, which I'll start to talk about this in just a few minutes. So we just met more people joining a little bit. Yeah, but I'm great. Busy and great.
Cool. How is Signum-related development? Are you working?
I do. Yes, actually, for example, there's something I still missed. You mentioned already the alias system. I still said that already a few times that it's a totally underestimated feature. I will talk about this even in my presentation. But there's something that I presented. I made a preview on the last Let's Talk. Something that the Signum name system is ready, but I haven't done any tutorial yet. I think it doesn't need it, but I haven't even done an official announcement. So that's something that's going on. Liquidity pools are in the final stages. There's like last tweaks on the layout, like interaction history of liquidity pools and something that way. And we're moving forward. I don't give an estimate. We're still testing on testnet. It's already live on testnet, but we need to figure out that this is really working the way it should work. So a little bit more testing is needed. But liquidity pools is the final stage already. And in the meanwhile, I'm working on business cases. Yeah, that's it. A little bit, while we mentioned that during the upcoming next 45 minutes or whatever. And let's see what's going on. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I guess we can start.
Okay, so give me a context here a little bit. I was on the Blockchain Rio Festival, which is the largest event in Latin America related to blockchain technology. I was there already last year, and I was there. There were two editions this year. There was one in Sao Paulo, which was in June, and another one right now. So both are big and important, and there are like 10,000 of attendees. And and I want to give some insights of that, what's going on, because I see evolution in the blockchain space. So I mentioned that already in tweet that I said like blockchain is like 15 years ago that it started with Bitcoin. People knows that, and blockchain is kind of, we are in a new wave. It comes in waves. For example, we had the ICO wave, we had the NFT wave, we had the initial currency wave, and all this stuff. And it's all evolving, and that is what I've seen. And I want to give some, from what I've seen here on Latin America, I want to give some overview of what I've seen. So there's something like, you can say, Latin America is different. Usually Latin America is, especially in Brazil, we're not, technology-wise, we're not so far behind. And I learned the last year until now that this is like it's embracing technology, even from the legal perspective and all this stuff. But giving you a quick overview. Starting with a quick overview. So it's the largest blockchain event in Latin America. So it was this year, and in Rio, it was like 3 days. We had more than 200 talks and panels. I don't know. I was guessing like about 500 speakers or something like, because there was panels with 3, 4, 5, 6 persons on, and different things like different tracks. Really big one. And I just was there the day 12 and 13 because we had some appointments on the other day. And so giving a retrospective a little bit, what was going on last year. So when I was there the first time, I saw that it was on 1st of September and 4 days, and there were 430 speakers, and there were about like 22,000 attendees on that one. And the principal topics in 2022 were like NFTs, metaverse, then all these model like X to earn, it's like play to earn, do something to earn, and whatever. A big session was about legal and regulatory issues. So there's a huge, there, a lot of lawyers were there around, people from the government and all this stuff. And one of the big features was also CBDC. So about the CBDC, I will talk a little bit also. The focus is not so much on CBDC on that talk, although I say that this year it was one of the biggest parts of the entire conference. So going over in that way, it's like, what were the topics this year? CBDC Drex. Drex is, just to have a context for people outside of Brazil, the Central Bank of Brazil has introduced a few years ago in 2018 an instant payment system here in Brazil, and it works like, it's stable like hell. So everybody's paying that. Just to have a notion, the people, they're like the ambulant vendors on the street, which are here all around and selling like small, I don't know, it's like sweets things and all the stuff on the streets. They even use pigs. So we have practically no cash anymore here. And the next step of that, the PIX system is not driven on blockchain. While the PIX system was evolving, we have nowadays almost 90% of the entire population working with PIX. So the payment is like that way. And the next step from the central bank is like introducing in this like digital transformation process a new protocol for they call us DREX. I think it's like a digital real exchange protocol, something in that way. And it is about like that the financial institutions together with the central bank are using Hyperledger, a ledger technology, and they use Hyperledger Bezo, which is an EVM compatible blockchain, but it's a permission blockchain, of course, and that they use for the upcoming new evolution of the financial system here in Brazil. And it's pretty advanced already. So they are working in the final phases of the pilot. They're working together with big banks here like Itaú and Banco do Brasil, Bradesco, and different banks here all over. So that is a very big one. And why? Because they're using Hyperledger. So Hyperledger got on the radar also. So that is a permission blockchain, or it's like it's a lot of things. The Hyperledger is much bigger than that. And so all the people, especially from for example, the head of the Brazilian chapter, Josélio. So he was there also. He was there already last year, and I made some contact with him to see, because I think in the near future, next year or in 2 years, like this is near future for me, there's like that there needs to be some integration from my company's side with them on that part. And this probably will go in something like bridging between Signum and Hyperledger. I'm not sure about this right now. We see that. So that is one of the biggest, but I won't talk a lot about CBDC, because that is not where I see a lot of touching points for Signal right now. Another thing I figured out is the industry awareness right now. That is really, really big. And still legal and regulatory issues. Although I know by myself that we have already a kind of stable, or we have a good direction where we need to go when we want to work with tokenization and being regulated. So the framework is settled already. There are kind of minor things that needs to be figured out. But I mean, I'm working together with the lawyers, and when I say we, I mean the AXT PropTech company is getting working on a public license so that we can go public offering and all stuff. And it seems like it's settled. So the line is clear, the direction is clear, what we have to do. So, and this is pretty good because it's not like what my impression is, for example, from North America is that the SEC is like against all this tokenization, digital assets thing and all this stuff. It looks like, I'm not sure, I'm not a US American, but from what we have seen on Signum, we figured out that, for example, exchanges, central exchanges suffered a lot or suffering a lot because of that, of that kind of action that they're doing there. And here is like totally the contrary. They see, the government sees, all the financial institutions and the authorities, they see the great potential in that type of technology. And Brazil is very affine on technology, and anyways, and the financial system is pretty advanced. If I'm not sure if it's comparable with Estonia or something in that way, but it's really, really advanced, and it's on a larger scale. We have 200 million inhabitants here as citizens, and they are all onboarded on PIX. So the central bank knows what they're doing. Of course, it's all about the control thing and fighting against corruption. We know all the reasons why they do this centralized thing. Okay, and that's also the reason why I'm not going too deep into that, because that is not what is like going together with Signum. And then there is the big part of the digital assets. So this is something I figured out also. The digital assets is like the wording that is coming up. You cannot say blockchain token. This is not working in a sales pitch. People are afraid of saying blockchain. It's like, okay, this is crypto scam, this crypto coin, this Bitcoin. And then they're thinking in Brazil, especially think of all the fraudsters that really like make rug pulls and all the stuff. It's really like negative connotation. And that we all knew from the business part that this is not the way we sell something. So industry awareness. When I talk about this, what I saw, agronomy. So just like the agrarian economy is very strong on the part of blockchain usage anyways. The real estate market, where we are acting also inside, I saw a lot of on part of the energy sector. And there's a little bit smaller. What I put here is like ESG. So ESG, I will talk about this a little bit later. So it's like the magic abbreviation that's coming up in terms of circular economy, which I'm seeing it's on the rise also. And ESG is like environmental, for people who doesn't know what that means, is environmental social governance. And there is something where blockchain plays a significant role also. It's just a part of a more complex scenario, but it's there. I will talk about this in a few moments. And then there's the big thing of digital assets. These are what we all know as tokens. Remember a little bit the history, though. In the early days, we talked about colored coins. I even remember that in all the documentation of the Signum platform, we have mentioned that like colored coins, assets, tokens, it's all the same. So, and the big new wording is real world assets. That is the one I saw this in a lot of talks and panels that were talking about RWA. That is the big thing. And I will talk about this in the next place. So what we have, the first is RWA. This is the hot shit that I saw already. So when I started searching a little bit, but I wondered a little bit because that's a new word for something that we are doing already for some time. And but that is being seems like the consensus how we name the things, real world assets. So that means nothing more, nothing less that physical assets are kind of digitalized, and those they're living on both worlds, on the physical world and on the digital world. And this comes with some challenges. First of all, there are opportunities. I made a quick research, and it's saying like it's about $16 trillion. According to Boston Group research, that is the opportunity in that market until 2030. So when they're like classifying here, and that one that source what I'm citing here is like tangible assets, like real estate, commodities, collectibles. And I don't mean NFTs in that way. I mean, they can be represented by NFTs, but collectibles like, I don't know, baseball cards or whatever in that way. So we have this already going on. We know that, but it's coming over to, I don't know, whatever. Then there are intangible assets like bonds, equities, and carbon credits. And not only carbon credits, I see there is much more potential in more kind of credits or certification systems in the context of ESG. I will talk about this later. So these are the big opportunities what we're seeing here. And it was like everybody's knowing that. So people, all the people that were around there in the blockchain Rio, they were like, yeah, looking at this and how we can make business, real world business together with blockchain technology, bring that together. And it's still very in its infancy. So there is a small group of people, I'm talking about a few thousand people in maybe in Brazil or Latin America, which are And that's what I figured out there also. I was there last year, and I saw a bunch of the same people this year again, and we were talking a little bit more, and we were all knowing each other and start talking. And so we have, for example, next week there is a lot of follow-ups we have to do, and try if we can get on board there and start doing something together. So we all are looking for partnerships. Most of us are not concurrents. They all have some niche they're working on, and we're trying to collaborate on that. So one of my aims, for example, is that next year on the next blockchain Rio event, that I probably can be there like a panelist or a speaker. It's not impossible. Much contrary, I think it's very easy because we have already contacts to certain influential people there. And and my company, with all the growth strategy we have behind there, probably that should work out. I'm pretty optimistic on that, and people know that I'm optimistic. And the challenges of that is like, the problem is, if we talk about bringing them together, real world assets and the digital assets, is on one part we have the nerds like me, the technical experts, which are really like into it. So I don't know, citing, for example, Dilitarium. So he's the guy who made the Smart C compiler, which is a great piece of tech, or like protocol engineers like Joss and all the way. So the people are very technical, and they're in this kind of bubble. And I'm in that same bubble also. But on the other side, you need the business people, and they need to start to speak together. And that's the problem. People are not understanding that. I just figured that out. For example, Alistair from South Africa, from Signal Community, was in the same situation. So we're trying to do something there. And it's difficult to get business people on board, because they're just overwhelmed by what we're talking about. And this is what we need to learn as technical people. And we need to learn as business people what we how we can come together and speak together, because I need to understand business needs, and business needs to understand where the limits of the technology, if there are some. Of course there are some. And how we do all this together. And on top of that, you need people who understand the business itself, that needs to be digitalized or tokenized, and you need to define processes to guarantee that, and processes that is guaranteed that the physical asset is legally bound to digital asset. And that is where all the legal stuff comes in. So there's a lot of people. It's like, it's not only a triangle, and a lot of more people that's coming together and need to understand and what they're doing. And that's the big problem at this moment. It's a challenge. It's not a problem. It's a challenge. It's a problem to solve. And it seems so that it started to be to go into that direction. So as I said, for example, our local SEC is has prepared a framework in terms of that. For certain, for example, security tokens, it's defined how we can deal with them. What is the limit? What we have to do? Which kind of licenses we need? And this is clear. And now, for example, we had some things in terms of the real estate processes, that not the model that we are doing, but that our friends are doing from the blockchain Rio, like the people at Rebos, or the people at NetSpaces, or the people at Insignia. So what they're doing is like, they need to go into the inscription of that real estate, and they need to deal with a kind of very old authority here in Brazil. It's like very heavy and very difficult for them to work on that. So they chosen the more difficult way, because our model works a little bit differently. And what they are doing is like, they try to tokenize real estates, like even fractionize them somehow. And so it's difficult, but they need to work all together. They're doing this since a few years, and those people are the pioneers here. And so just to have an idea, and this is like, we're talking about a handful of people. They're working on that, and they're very well known here in the community, in the blockchain community. And they were like invited for making a lot of panels and speakings and all the talks and all the stuff. So that's it. And and finally, there's like, as I said, the technical thing is like how you can make the asset linkage, how you bring this on chain. Not all chains are capable to do this. What is the data they can put there? Then you need to think about privacy. Is it okay that I put, for example, full addresses or let long coordinates into the blockchain and identify the piece there directly, or do we do something like intermediate inscription of that one, some identifier that is being like somewhere out of chain registered? So that are other aspects that you need to consider, and that is what we have to address also. You cannot put every data on the blockchain. So the question is how you can put data on the blockchain and what kind of data you put on the blockchain. And that's the very, very big thing that I'm seeing right now. And it not only for real estate, it's like a lot of things like commodities coming up, and there's like the energy market is working on that, and a lot of other things is coming up. And here's really like, I saw government people working together with like financial institutions working together with energy providers, distributors working together, or there were these agronomes that were all around there. So that a lot of people from conventional industry coming together and looking towards how to take advantage of a blockchain technology. So, and and they see this as a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money. Actually, that's what they're doing. So are there any questions so far in the moment? I'm not sure. I'm not following that because it's just in my flow. Shifas?
No, we have
Okay,
no
cool, yeah.
activity in our YouTube chat.
Okay, cool, okay. I go over to the next one. It's called ESG. That's another part. It's environmental social governance. It was not so big as I expected to be there, but that is something. So if we talk about opportunities, it's a little bit difficult. I call this it's intangible value. So you cannot really measure what will be the benefit of ESG for a company or corporation. And here's something that I just found. It's saying like that there's like a survey that was saying like 98% of investors evaluate non-financial metrics for investment decisions. And ESG is a broader trend of that. So ESG means like it has something to do with brand valuation. So if you look, for example, Apple, they said they want to be carbon neutral, carbon dioxide neutral until 2030. That means there's kind of a pressure. I don't know where it comes from, but they want to use that to polish their brand and to make it more valuable. So this is like an intangible value, which is hard to measure. And it's all about the social and environmental impact. We know the current situation, climate change, all the stuff. There's something that has to be done. We know the movements in all the Bitcoin miner stuff. It's saying like, okay, now they claim that they have 50% of their energy is coming from sustainable or renewable energy source. I'm not sure. So Tesla was saying like, I will coming back to, or Elon Musk was saying like, I'm coming back to Bitcoin once they have more than 50% of sustainable energy or renewable energy sources and all the stuff. And then there's the other part is like the customer acceptance. So it's like people are getting, especially in the northern hemisphere, is like getting more and more aware and saying like, is it good to buy that product? And maybe I pay a little bit more and I feel a little bit better because I think that company is like green or it's greener than the other one in all the stuff. This is not the truth in the southern hemisphere, so it takes more time until this consciousness is coming up to the people. So, for example, here in Brazil, not many people are caring about that, but you see strong movements. So, bigger corporations are already starting going that way, saying, we need to revisit our environmental impact. Of course, we have more due to social tension here and disequality, we have a little bit more pressure that the companies is like want to present themselves as an ESG company, like saying, hey, we're caring for social things that make social programs, or they create social programs to help poorer people. And on the other hand, they try to address the environmental issues. That's coming more and more here. And fortunately, Brazil is a country which, for example, has a lot of sun. We have a lot of water, the same like that. So many people don't know that, but we have more than 70% of energy is being generated by renewable sources. And the PV market right now is like just exploding here. So the Chinese are coming into the market with big boom, let's say like that, and they're just like installing incredible, huge photovoltaic plants here. This is really, it's impressive what's going on. We have the space and we have the situation here, and that makes it interesting even for people thinking of like new business cases and using tokenization, for example, to raise money. So ESG there are kind of applications behind that. You can do something like, the most important thing is that you can like do something verifiable, publicly verifiable. So it's about, if you're a corporation and I say, hey, I'm green, the question is, um, how can I prove that I'm green? Because we have all this greenwashing things and all this stuff, and this is where blockchain can help. So it's like, I can, if it's possible somehow to get proofs on chain that can be audited by people publicly, that is a big value for the company that's saying that we are green and we can prove that. That is better to say like we are greenwashing. I mean, you understand what I mean. Other things that comes together with that, if I'm talking about that, is like the possibility of make real-time supply chain tracking, but there are really limits on blockchain technology. So if we look, for example, at Signum, you have to really think what can be tracked, because we are limited. It's not scalable. The solution has limits. We know that. We can like tweak a little bit on block sizes and like on block times or something like that, but you scale only proportionally. So you're not scaling out everything. So there's a limited use case in that. And there are already centralized solutions in EPR and in ERPs and also which doing kind of good tracking. It's more about the interoperability. So a blockchain could be like a backbone for certain business partners working together and looking at the same data at the same time. That can be an interesting case. There is another big application or field that's like called circular economy. What I mean is like real recycling, so that the producer, the manufacturer of products knows where his prime material is coming from. Because like, okay, my plastic is 80% recycled already. And nowadays it's more like, this is what, from a lot of talks I had with the different people in that area, even Brazil and in South Africa, I know that is like a huge part of plastic is going to landfill. So, and there's only a fraction that's being really recycled. And the recycle is just like, okay, this type of plastic is turning into another product, but then it will be just like one used once or twice, recycled once or twice, and in the end it's on the landfill or in the oceans, which is the landfill also. And that is an issue. As long as producing plastic, for example, is cheaper than recycling it, there won't be any change on that part. But there is like, it seems that there's a movement that is looking forward how to make it cheaper to recycle things. And in the southern hemisphere, it's like that. There is not established a recycling system, like for example in Germany. So I know that people in Germany, they are recycling. The citizen is like recycling. They have like they separate glass, they separate plastic, they separate organic trash and all this stuff, and then they go out in the city to some collection points and put the stuff there. But this is not the case here. So there's no infrastructure for that, and the government is not helping on that. So what is going on is like organically we have collection points. And these collection points is where, for example, poor people go to. It's just like they're going through the streets all the day. They're collecting waste, and then they're going there to their place and saying like, okay, here's 100 kilo of plastic, and they get like 10 reais for that, something that way. So there is and they depend on that. So they started to be that, and these collectors are crucial for the entire system to work, and they need to get more benefits. So that's just like, in that way it's going on, and there's where the brand owners can come into and all this stuff. And the next thing is like verifiable certificates, like carbon credits, or like, okay, I have a credit here, a plastic credit that really says that this is recycled credit. So that is what the ESG world is. And it's all about being auditable in any way. So that is like the idea behind the ESG stuff. And that is where I think blockchain technology fits very nicely into. And in that case, it's not about tokens itself. Maybe token could be an incentive system, but on the other hand, it's like on the other hand, it's like about data. How I can track the data globally, probably. So there are several challenges. A little bit of technical ones, but there's another one which I call here persuasion. Persuasion means like, how can I say to a medium company or to a small company that the use or the tracking of what he's doing there is kind of value for him. So how can I pitch a blockchain-based system, for example, for them? And that's very difficult to sell, because as I said, it's an intangible value. So it's more like, I think the pressure will come only from the big players because they're more interested in that part. And the next problem is data accuracy. So if you put shit in, you get shit out. It's like that. How can you guarantee that the data that's being put in is 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 is, is the correct data? So the entire recycling system. I know it's like kind of a system which is not really working. Or it's not really um, working legally. So they try to do some fraud stuff and like saying I'm weighting this plastic twice and I'm selling this 4 times. I heard that is really like that. There is no control to guarantee that that plastic was not sold already, and so they sell this twice or more. Just like it's weird. So there needs to be some control on that. The other one is the traceability. So how can I trace the things? So it's more a technical engineering question, and the rest is the scalability. So you need to see, as I said, for example, Signum with its block times and all this stuff cannot like track every shampoo bottle that's being produced by something like, I don't know, Procter & Gamble or whatever. It's not possible. It's just not possible. So I need to see if the solution fits the problem or whatever. So this is a discussion that needs to be done. Nevertheless, because of the features, the technical features from Signum, and then I think we're coming over to that is, let me see where Signum fits. So just like to recap that, what Signum is, it's a public blockchain platform. It has an extremely low energy footprint. So just remember that we are just like exist since 2014 already. So we are really an OG in the place. We have smart contracts, although they are non-EVM compatible. That is an issue. We have a highly efficient token engine, which is not based on smart contracts. Sometimes it's very difficult for me to explain to non-tech people what the difference is, and maybe it's not even worth to do so. But this is a technical advantage we have. We have data attachments. I call this here TX or transaction-based data attachments. It's more so we can on all our entities we can attach data, and it's limited what we can attach, but we can do, and we can do this very easily. It's just like that. It's like it's nature. It's native. It's natural. And then we have something that is interesting. I come to that a little bit in a moment. It's just the transfer of data containers. I know that I'm just like exposing this more and more, but recently I found a lot of use cases from the alias system. So Signum name system is working with that. We at AXT, we're using this also, and it gives us something that I see there's a new trend. This is coming up. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is okay. Before we coming to that. Of course, Signum we have weaknesses, and we know all that. And most people here listening that, they will know that we have a small network, we have a low budget, and we are not EVM compatible. Why is that a problem? So small network means, as we know, blockchain technology. The larger the network, the more secure it is. So you can say, okay, no, you're small, you're not secure. No, that's not the case. It's still secure, but it could be securer. So more secure, to be honest. So low budget means like we don't have money that we can use like in going being listed on Binance, for example. So, and there's another thing. So we don't have the marketing capabilities that other platforms maybe have or something like that. So at this moment, there is nothing being injected. We cannot have the exposure that we maybe should have or we could have or whatever. I don't know. And the other thing is that many people that I know personally, for example, I get in contact with some platforms and trying to ask if they can integrate us, the first question they do is like, are you EVM compatible? And I have to say no. So and that is a few times this was already a disqualifier. So it's harder for us to go. So we are not alone on that. I mean that like Tezos is not EVM compatible and others are not EVM compatible. There are other big changes that are not compatible with EVM, but it seems like that EVM stuff is being settled as the de facto standard in the workspace. Well, but we can bridge that somehow going over this. What are the strengths? So one of the strengths compared to other platforms, from my limited knowledge, is like we have the versatility. So we can do things that other can't do, or they can do this only with more efforts. We're open source. Okay, for us it's normal. It's just like okay. Just from my perspective, it's an advantage. Something that I heard. Of course, I can't say this is easy to use API because I know that very well. But I heard from other people integrating us, exchanges, for example, saying like, wow, first of all, you have a great documentation of your API. Secondly, it's very easy. So I remember one case it was said like they integrated us, and they said like, oh well, compared to Ethereum, it's like 200 lines of code, and Ethereum was like 1,500 lines of code. So much easier to use, and it's actually that. So if we want to attach some data on something, we don't need to make something like storage contracts on all the stuff. We don't need that. We just like put the data there on. Just an example is like I made just for fun the Signum FS, which is like uploading files to the blockchain and splitting this into transactions because our transactions have only 1 kilobyte. But well, I was able to do that, and it was like 1 weekend of work because it was like, for me, it was like that. Okay, but what I want to say is like our API it's just HTTP calls, or you go down a little bit deeper and work something and try to extract things from database. Yeah, but it's pretty easy to do. We have, due to our market situation, very low cost at the moment, but I don't expect to have some costs involved like for gas, which is like in the range of somewhere of Ethereum. It's like I know we have other like Solana and all the other platforms which are also cheap and all the stuff, and they use proof of stake, for example, when you're talking about environmental impact. We're not proof of stake. So technically spoken, we're a little bit more close to proof of work stuff, which can be seen as an advantage. And it is like we're using consumer electronics to make our mining. It's like, I just like can say like, stress it again. I have a Raspberry Pi miner here, and it's working since, I don't know, it's working stable as hell. And it's like just like a small HDD which attached to that. So and that is what our way, how we verify all the stuff. And yeah, we have that network. It's not the big network, but that's the way. And because of that, things, for example, the versatility, this question, how can Signum and real world assets come together? And that was something interesting. So when I was there with our COO, and we were like attending the talks, and the people started to, no, it's real world assets, RWA, I don't know what. It's like, we were just like looking to each other and saying like, hey, that's what we're doing since 1 year. So and this is the new way to sell a little bit more the blockchain technology without frightening the people. Yeah. So what we can do, for example, is something that I heard a lot was like they call it dynamic NFTs. So dynamic NFTs means like there are NFTs representing some physical asset somehow, and they are updatable. Means like, think of an real estate. So I have a property here, and the property changes. For example, in the way like the market value changes of that. So and I need to adjust it and bring that on chain. So like, okay, yesterday my real estate, my property was like $100,000, and it was like just like reviewed, and now it's $110,000. So and I already sold an NFT on top of that. So I need somehow to update that. Okay. So, and usually NFTs are, we know that, just like a smart contract, and it's a little bit difficult to deal with them. And we know that people are asking us, why are not our NFTs in our wallets? And to show them, it's because it's not the way we can scan for them. Technically say it's like it's not a decentralized solution. So we cannot scan in a decentralized way or in an efficient way the decentralized registered NFTs, because I need to go all over the chain and try to get this. So what many people miss when they ask for that request is that would me to require as a wallet developer to say like, okay, I need to connect to an API. That API is gathering the information from the chains, putting it on a database on conventional technology, and then I asking that API to show the wallets and to show the NFTs there inside. I'm hesitant to do so, because that means that I have to maintain one more API. I have more things to do, and there's a single point of failure. When the API is not working anymore, everybody's saying, where are my NFTs? They're there on chain, but they're not appearing anymore in the wallet because the wallet has connection issues, for example, with the blockchain or with the API. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really hesitant to put NFTs in, for example, in the XT or Phoenix wallet, and explanation. Okay. But the aliases, for example, they are searchable natively. I can ask who is the owner of that alias, or what are the aliases I own, and I can do this directly. And why are they interesting? Because I can put data there on. So really, we do this at XT, that we use as representative digital token. We use aliases to show the market situation of a certain house. And due to our business model, we say like this house is in acquisition phase. This is in the current situation. And we have just a back office where we just say, okay, now we just update the content of that alias and we show this to all the users. I will show later, I have a small screenshot of that. But that is one of the systems where we don't need to make any stunts with some smart contracts. We can do this, but there's no need to do so. Another interesting thing is now talking about smart contracts, we can use the smart contract normally. And there's the feature, I don't know if others have this. I think I think they do. We have these key value maps, exactly the key value maps, but they are really cool to make storage. Like you can think of it like lists that are attached, lists with data attached to a smart contract. And the good thing is, and that is the next stuff, like we can easily create oracles with that stuff. Why that? Because these key value maps, they can be read externally. So another contract can read another contract's key value maps. And that is pretty powerful. I haven't done this right now because I don't see any use case for at this moment the Oracle, but a very simple one could be like, I don't know, making a swap contract somehow that is looking to some exchange rates, I don't know. And then I need somebody who's like, I don't know how to do, because that's a centralization issue, but like giving some information into a smart contract that serves as an oracle. And if we can somehow verify that, I don't know how, it's like a DAO, then another contract can just like connect to that one and say like, okay, what's the current exchange rate? That would be something in that way. And we have other things like I mentioned here, use peer-to-peer messages for data transfer or for event tracking or whatever. We can attach things there. And this is interesting because if you think of tokenization on real world assets, and we're thinking of, okay, let me say, now we have 1 ton of soy here, and I do a token. That would be cool if I can attach to that token saying where the soy is coming from, which is the farmland where it is, and when it was created, which year. Probably they're kind of like in vine stocks or something that way. Just important just to know what year it is and who was like the farmer and all the stuff. You can like identify and qualify the token. You can say like, okay, that specific token can be qualified as, for example, organic soy, or it's a non-transgenic soy stuff. So you have not only the quantity of the soy, but you have also the quality of the soy. And this can attach additional value. No, this not can attach, it attaches additional value to that soy token. So that's why data on chain is becoming more and more important. So I talked about the current use case, and you can see that, for example, at XT PropTech, we use smart contracts for multi-signature token minting. So it's not like I can sit there and just admit that. So we need this always with a bar. We have the smart token engine. So that means, remember that our tokens are not contract based. We can use them in contracts, but our tokens are natively generated, and they're very efficient. For example, in dividend payouts, we can do this at a very high rate and all this stuff. And I use aliases to link to real estates, which you can see here in the images here. Let me see if I can, yeah, you can see that. So at this very first moment, these are real production data, is like we can show these aliases, or these are aliases which represent houses. So what do we have spent in the house, which is the current market price of the house and all the stuff, and that way. So, and you see even a history we can attach to that. So at this moment, there's just one history entry in that way, because we haven't done any update, but later it will show the update like a state. So we have like, oh, that is like in the middle here. Can I hide this somehow? Oh yeah, I can. So you can see that, for example, it's like it's being paid and it's waiting for a certain process or next step and whatever. So it's in acquisition or something like that. So that is all tracked on chain. So this data is not stored in any database other than the global database of the blockchain, of the Signal blockchain. Yeah, and we are going, there's a like small spoiler, we're going to tokenize commodities. I want to show you some image later, but a few images later, photos of the event. And there are other things we are planning, like certification NFTs for a sales team or something that way, or probably using even oracles for on-chain swaps. That's just like future stuff, just like thinking is like brainstorming a little bit. So we're coming to the end of that long-lasting talk with a lot of insights and things. If we look at ESG, how could Signal fit into ESG? So as I said, we are capable of transferring data from A to B, and we can use the normal smart tokens for efficient incentive mechanisms. As I said, that for example, if we are able to create tokens that can generate some benefits for the waste collectors, for example, and we can like combine this together with companies behind it and saying like, okay, you can exchange your tokens for, I don't know, certain products from our company, or you can or that you get some benefits like you get social programs like educative material for your children. There are like discount, or you get them for free and all this stuff. And so other things is like gamification is even an incentive mechanism. So people like I know of other projects that are using tokenization to incentivize people, for example, to recycle something. So they call this recycle to earn, for example, or in the way it is possible to do so. Once again, by my own experience, it's something using smart contracts key value maps, again, that's feature, to make so-called M2N on-chain tracking. So the idea is like, how can I track in a supply chain all the transactions from the collector in terms, for example, for recycling, until the brand owner who's like producing some products using the recycled material. So the brand owner in the end is like interested to say like 80% of the material I use for that product is verifiable from recycled stuff, recycled material. So, and how can I do that? So the idea is like having like a QR code or whatever you can scan, and you can like see the history through all the supply chain to see that. And this is possible to do this, for example, with key value mapping. If you do this in a kind of, let's say, like smart way or something, that you can connect multiple transactions to other multiple outgoing transactions. It is possible to do this. There are limitations. You cannot do this 100%. Let me think of what I have implemented. Yeah, it looks like it's doable. I'm working on a hypothesis and trying to prove that, and it looks it's working out. But that is it's something that can be used there. Or the other one is like, as I said, use transaction attachments for on-chain data transfer, which is important for tracking anyways. Yeah, that's the way. But all these things always are not only with the I can say that based on the technology itself, because the connection to the real world requires much more, and that is the big challenge, much more around that. It's like, as I already said, that it's the legal stuff. You need the business experts. I'm not a business expert. I'm just the tech expert, and we need to find some wording and some communication level which you can like talk on the same level. And it is difficult because we need to repass. It's like a bidirectional knowledge exchange and working together, and that makes it hard. And but this is not only in blockchain technology at all. This is always when tech people talking together to business people. I mean, many people out there know that it's not easy to talk about that, but that's just a process you have to learn, and then you have to define all the things, and it's just like it's work. It takes time. It really takes time. So I have a current use case in that part of ESG. So it's like a recycling company startup, and that uses, for example, smart contracts to track incoming and outgoing material. It uses transactional data for tracking. It uses smart contracts for trustless certificate emissions, like plastic credits, and it uses smart tokens as an incentive mechanism for collectors in that case. So these are the nowadays existing technological or technical features we have, which can be used in that stuff of ESG as far as I can see it right now. I'm not sure what I discover next week or next month or next year. And yeah, that is like the things that are coming up a little bit. This is like when I show that the new things that are there, the upcoming, the big new wave that is coming, like especially RWA, and ESG a little bit less. For example, I personally I missed the point about the recycling stuff on the blockchain event. It was not there. I know there are projects out of there. I know that BASF, for example, is having something a project. It's called RecyChain or RecyChain. They're using that already. I think they want to commercialize this next year. I don't know how, but most probably they will use something like Hyperledger or some permissive blockchain because they want to have control over that and monetize that. That's the other risk on all of the business stuff, but that's something that's boiling already, and people are working on that. While probably I have the impression that many people are always still looking into DeFi, which is a big field, and looking into coin stuff and saying like, okay, mining here, mining there. I don't know. I think this era is coming to an end. And there's coming new stuff is coming up, and platforms need to be prepared for that somehow. We're in a good position at this moment. We're not perfect, by far not, but we could. We're in this position where it's already usable the way. Like I cannot see how other chains are doing that, but this lags because of lack of my knowledge also. So I don't know Ethereum deeply enough, or Solana, or Algorand, or even Shia. I don't know if they are capable of doing that, whatever. So that is what I'm saying. So we are in a position which is good, and now it needs like to be sold to people to get to businesses to get more exposure. And this is my personal mission on that. I'm not sure if people are interested in know more about all the things. Don't hesitate to ask me, because I think there's a lot of things that I can just like get over to you, and maybe this is an inspiration for you what's going on, and think of some businesses that you're working on, or people who are interested in doing something in that way. So don't hesitate to ask us on Discord or Telegram, whatever, how we can do something together in that way. I mean, we have a good platform. It's the market situation is bad. We know that, and it has to be better. And my mission is like trying to apply that technology we have and making big businesses with that. And right now it looks good. I have 2 big projects I'm working on, and let's see where the journey is going to. That's it. Yeah, and finally, Shifas, I would like to show some photos, 1, 2, 3, 4 photos from the event.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, just like pulling this over here. Okay. Let me see. It's a blockchain event. Something there was a talk from somebody from Argentina that got my full attention. That's interesting. So what he's saying here in that way is like saying, my grain is my money. That was interesting because that guy from the company, it's called AgroToken, he was saying that people are using so-called barters to make payments. So you saw like 36% of payments are done by exchanging their commodity with other goods. So people are really like selling like cars and getting soy or wheat or whatever. It's only the way. It is like interesting to say that. And what they have done is like they really made they bound the stuff. They bound the stuff somehow to the commodities and making it tokenize that so that the token is worth the commodity. I don't know how they do this. There will be a follow-up from our side, because I was highly impressed by the talk of that guy. And I was like saying that, how are they doing that? And I know they use, for example, for the backend for that is like Algorand they're using. Let me see if I can see that it's saying a little bit better here. He said like, meu grão é minha moeda. So he's saying like, this is my money. But he said something else. And this is the thing. So he said here that the blockchain is revolutionizing the industry of commodities. And I agree with him. That's what I'm seeing. And we know that because we at AXT, we start working with commodities right now. And there will be something, hopefully by the end of the year, that we have a new pool in our part. But that is something that's awesome. So I need really to make a follow-up with that guy from AgroToken, because I really want to know how they do this. Another fun photo is like me and Bob Burnquist. Bob Burnquist is a pro skater from Rio. He's well known. I mean, people all probably from the '90s that know that he's really a legend. A legend. You may ask why Bob Burnquist is on a blockchain event, because he has something to do with social projects and NFTs and something in that way. Yeah, it's okay. It's two dumb guys here in the front of the one. Oh, it's just like, okay, you can understand. It's okay on that way. This is our COO and me. That is the Drax one. So the government was there, and or part of the government was there talking about that exchange protocol from the central bank. This is will have a very huge impact for sure. That's pretty. I mean, yeah, that is really a big thing that's coming up. So they're already working. So in the financial system, they're just saying like that way. Let me see another one. Yeah, they're working already on the pilots, and for the Drax protocol, this is like they're saying like the pilot is being released by they say like by May of 2024. So it's going that way. So this is like a huge thing. You can see what they plan to do here. For example, they use the Hyperledger Bezel chain to, for example, to even tokenize public titles, so public federal titles here. So call that. So that is what they plan to do here. And you see that, for example, this is Itaú Bank. It's one of the biggest banks here in Brazil. I mean, what's coming there? This is open doors for a completely new kind of economy, which we know somehow from our DeFi world in some other way, but it's coming really to the big on governmental level. So that is the guy. There's another follow-up we have to do because you invited us to do a podcast, but it didn't fit in our agenda. So that guy from Rebos is working on real estate stuff. So I said like from digital to concrete, literally. What else we have here? That is the guy with the Acro token stuff. Is that token Fungivis? Also fungible tokens here, soy, corn. That's like corn stuff and whey stuff. It's like, yeah, this is impressive. Yeah, I think that's all at this moment. Yeah, there were much more things. We made a lot of contacts with other people, new contacts, old contacts. And one of the plans is for me to stay on the stage next year and talk about that. Because what I have seen there, that is I'm working on right now personally, so with the company, and I see that we are in a very good space here with a very good company of people, and I'm very optimistic that that they will get more exposure. People just know us, and it's like, hey, Oliver, what you're doing here, and it's nice to see you again, and so we're gonna that way. And I think that participating on that event is something I said, why I haven't done this before. I mean, we did this already, Schiffers, you know. We were in Bratislava in 2019, but well, and the pandemic situation later we're on, and getting more exposure is, for example, getting on such events and somehow that would work, and that works out. And this is the most productive and efficient thing I see to get attraction and to see what's going on and to be updated. Yeah, that's just my new journey. Yep.
Okay.
Thank
you all.
Insights with you.
Yeah, and I think people liked your pictures most because you spoke so difficult stuff, but to see some pictures, it is easier and clear.
Yeah, I know. This presentation will be public, so we can put this there also. But it's like, yeah, it was like trying to get some insights. I know there are a lot of stuff going on there, but people, I expect that people from Signum, they know that they get an idea of what's going on a little bit and where we can go and where we fit into, and that's one of my biggest messages here. And and also spread a little bit the word. That's and we will share the link of this presentation and make it publicly available for everybody. Yeah.
Yes, and you can always leave comment and we will answer to it.
Cool. So we have no questions,
Okay.
is right?
No questions.
Well, everybody overheard. Oh, that guy that talked so fast. Okay, it's no problem. Okay, cool. Awesome. Shifas, until next time. I
Okay,
have
goodbye.
more to come. Have a nice one.